live with Susie TV this morning, Saturday, May the 11th, 2019. Waiting for a few people to come on, and then we'll get started with our conversation today. Good morning, Mama Young. How are you? Good to see you out there. I'm going to wait a few more minutes, waiting for my guests to join. Beautiful Saturday morning here in Columbus, Ohio. Mother's Day Eve. Okay. Waiting for Tara to join in. That's good. Good morning, Shakira. I just saw you a few minutes ago at the TFT workout this morning. Dr. Trey, good morning. How are you, sir? Great workout this morning. Morning, Allie. How are you? Waiting for Tara to join in with us. Hey, Bonnie. How are you, Bonnie? There she is. Okay. Good morning, Tani. Good morning, Tara. You ready to join in this conversation? Let's see. Waiting for you to join. We have a very important topic we're going to be talking about today. It's going to be awesome. I'm excited. Just waiting for you to accept the invite, Tara. Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Put my glasses on so I can see.
Happy Saturday. Happy Mother's Day Eve.
Thank you, honey.
Thank you. So, good morning, Brittany. How are you? Just saw you a few minutes ago as well. That wonderful TFT workout we had today with Dr. Tremaine Young. So, and I'm excited that we're here now talking to Tara. Tara, you need to come down just a little bit.
Okay. I was going to ask you if you can see me okay, because I was trying to adjust everything.
There's that beautiful thing. It's how I can see you.
You can see me clear now?
Yes, I see you very clear. So it's going to be a great conversation. So we have a lot to talk about. Good morning, everybody that's joining. We have a lot to talk about. And not going to take a lot of time, but we're just going to go ahead and get started. But Tara, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, and then just go ahead and get started talking about this important topic. So.
Okay. My name is Tara Rigsby, everybody, and hello, good morning. I am a certified life coach. I work more on healing and transformation, and I'm a mental health consultant. I work a lot with people with depression and anxiety because that's my professionalism, as to say. And I'm also an author, and I also have a regular job, so I do a lot of stuff. The thing that makes me happy is holding my women's retreats. I hold women's retreats, weekend retreats. I do some day retreats. I haven't done a lot of those because I enjoy the weekend ones. But I bring women together for healing. We go through workshops and we talk about life, and we talk about just how to live a better life, how to live your best life. And not that it's always going to be perfect and we're always going to get it right. But we spend the whole weekend just loving on one another, and I spoil them a lot. So that's where my passion is, and I find my happiness. And on Tuesday, I start school. I'm going back to school to become a clinical mental health counselor.
Oh my goodness.
So, I wanted to do more, and I wanted to have a little bit more power in the community of mental health, and so that was my way of doing so.
Okay, so how did your retreats come about? How did you, was it something, doing a conversation with someone? So how did you get started with your retreats?
Well, I've been thinking about it it's one of those things where you come up with something and you write it down in your book or your journal, and you say, man, this is what I would like to do. I'd like to bring a group of women together and just start talking about more, especially in the African American community. Once I started really getting into mental health and getting in my own recovery, I found out that, and just with my growing up, we're not allowed to talk about it in our families. You're afraid of being judged or even like exiled from your family sometimes. So I wanted to get that out there. So it was just something I had thought about. It was one of those things I didn't act on until a couple of years ago. And once I acted on it, and now it's growing. So it just became so the more that I do it, the more that I realize that I'm in the right place. My last one was in April, and it was like the best one I've ever had. There was so much healing and so much, and I still have the women texting me and telling me the tools are the most important. I never leave them without tools. So when they leave their retreat on Sunday, they go home with stuff. It's just implementing them, like we all have to do. When we learn stuff is to implement, right? And I make them write letters to themselves also. So with them, like 30 days, I send them one, and then 90 days, I send them another, because we can break habits very easily. So you can learn something, and you can come out of there feeling really good about yourself, and you start something, and then in like 90 days, you go back to your same habits, your same bad habits. So I mail those letters out to remind them of what they learned and where they were when they left. Yeah, hoping that if they did go back into some of those bad habits, that letter will remind them how pumped up they were when they left on Sunday, and they can get back into that and can continue that journey. Yeah.
So you have these retreats, what, twice a year, 3 times a year?
Twice a year, one in the spring and one in the fall. I'm being demanded to have more. But it's a lot of work, and I think I do my best work when I really have time to think through things and plan them correctly. A lot of times we rush into stuff, and then it's not planned the way you want it, and it doesn't come out the way you want it. So I really like to take time to, pray over my retreats, and look for what, every retreat has a different theme. I never do the same thing twice. So,
that's awesome.
So I try to really take time because I want them to get exactly what they're paying for. And if I rush into different things or have more where I'm feeling overwhelmed, I don't think I would be giving them my best self. And that's not going to be very effective. So right now, just twice a year.
Okay. And then, is this women only?
Yes.
Women only right now. Okay.
Yeah, I stay in my lane.
Okay. And then, is it just dealing with depression, or is it other areas of mental illness that you deal with? Is it just women who dealing with depression, or?
No, there's women there that don't have mental illness at all. Mental illness is not the only place that needs healing. So there are women that are holding, even myself, like we're holding on to grief, we're holding on to hurt, we're holding on to so many things that have went on in our lives. And as you get, especially in your 40s and 50s is when that stuff really starts to hammer on your life, because now you're at the second half of your life and you haven't dealt with it. So not everyone that comes to my retreats has a mental health condition. It's just women that need healing, and that's what I focus on. So like the themes, my last theme was healing, hope, and happiness. So we did a workshop on healing and how to heal. And then we did a workshop on hope, and I had a wonderful speaker come in. And we had meditation. I had a reflexologist come in, because we don't give ourselves self-care either, which is very important. Yeah. And so we get a little overwhelmed because we haven't taken the time from our families and our daily life to just treat ourselves. Okay. So I try to treat them. They eat well. And we have yoga. We have different things that we do at the retreats. We take nature walks. Because nature, in my retreats, there's no TV. It's technology free. We kind of shut that stuff down because we can be distracted. Yeah. I really want them to get everything out of it. So all of my workshops are technology free. Awesome. You want to check your phone after, that's fine. But I just feel like we've gotten so into social media and feeling like we're going to miss something if we're not checking something every 5 minutes, that I really want them to focus, and it helps. There's no TVs in the room. So it's just them and their thoughts. Okay. So it's been great so far.
And where are they held here in Columbus, or where?
No, my first one was, but I found a really cool place by accident. It's called Heartland Conference and Retreat Center. It's in Marengo, Ohio. It's about 45 minutes to an hour outside of Columbus. And it's in nature, and they specialize in holding retreats. Mm-hmm. So the rooms are set up for retreat style. The conference rooms are set up that way. There's nature, there's woods, there's There's lakes. There, just different things that it's kind of a hidden gem, not too far from here. It's right outside of Delaware.
Okay.
So once I found that spot and I did my first one, I'll be using that spot forever because as long as they're there. But it's a Christian-based place, so and they cater to us like there's no tomorrow. So they also hold kids retreats out there, and they have different activities that you can do. We did a fire, like a fire pit type thing where we all was standing around the fire, throwing away our hurts in the fire. This last retreat, so it was very, very powerful, and it makes me emotional because sometimes when you do things, you don't get to see the result of your work, and I get to stand there and see women come in one way Friday and leave, and I pack a lot of stuff into a weekend. So, yeah, it's been very rewarding for me.
Awesome. I love it. Okay, so I know we have a lot to talk about, so you want to get started with you want to talk about the book or how, whichever way and this is the book, this is Tara's book. I hope you guys can see that.
You still have it.
Love it. Yes, I love this book. It's awesome. So this is the book, and where can we find the book? Is it still out on Amazon or?
It's not. It's sold out on Amazon, and it's a little over 2.5 years old, so right now I just carry it. I just carry copies so they can always message me. And of course now we have Cash App and Zelle and all kinds of stuff. So I do it PayPal. So but yeah, I carry copies myself because I just didn't want to keep producing it because I kind of wanted to move on. And I want to write another book, but I haven't quite got my mojo yet on that book because this book will be about my life through depression from childhood until now. And so it's been very difficult to write, very emotional. So I do a little bit and then I kind of have to back down from it. So I think once I get into it, I'll finish it. But that's going to be my next book.
Okay. So you want us to talk about depression then, or whichever direction you want to go in? Let's just go. Okay.
Yeah, so that's why we're here.
You have the floor.
Yeah, so I feel like I'm a professional in mental health because I have my own what we call lived experience. I suffer from depression and anxiety. I live with it every day. I have to manage it every day, and some days are better than others. So just to be transparent, today is not a good day for me. It's very pretty outside. I'm very thankful to be here, so don't get me wrong. But the closer it gets to Mother's Day, I grieve. And so my grandmother was my mom. She raised me, and I miss her so much. So today I'm grieving, and so that's just being transparent about where I am personally, because I think it's important to let people know that when you have depression, for me, it kind of intensifies the grief a little bit because of my thought patterns sometimes. So like this morning, I was feeling guilty. I was feeling angry. All that stuff that compulses. So not only do you have to manage the feeling of depression, you have to manage the grief at the same time. So sometimes that becomes a little difficult, and I can actually shut down for a couple of days. Today is going to be a little bit easier because I have plans to go out to lunch with my best friend. So when I have plans, that helps. So when I know something's coming, like a day that I might grieve. So like when my dad's birthday comes up in July, I'll be getting ready for vacation. So I try to have something planned. Okay. That helps a lot. I think when we kind of manifest the fact that, that day is coming, and we just like Christmas time, both of my dad and my grandmother died in December. So right now, Christmas time is very difficult for me. Okay. I didn't have too much planned for Christmas, so I really struggled in December. Okay. So having something
went away last year, though. Did you and your husband, you guys went away? Because I think I remember seeing something on Instagram where you guys went out.
Because I don't really celebrate right now. I don't buy gifts. I don't do stuff like that. So we went out to the woods. We went to a cabin. And it was the best thing for me. Nature and depression go hand in hand. So does the ocean. So here eventually I want to be near the ocean again. So salt water, salt atmosphere. There's been studies show that it helps. I have salt lamps in my house because it really helps with, your brain chemistry and all that stuff. So, I have to do stuff like that. So when I have something planned like today, I can sit in it for a little bit. Like this morning, I did sit in it a little bit. I cried a little bit. Then I got in the shower and stuff like that, because sometimes when you're going through depression, just getting in the shower is the hardest thing. And that's just truth. You'd rather just do what you have to do and go back to bed. So there's times where my family has to remind me, like, hey, I just need you to jump in the shower, because it does make you feel better. Even if you want to go lay down again, just jump in the shower, just do that. Make sure you eat, stuff like that. So I go through that struggle, but I do have good ways of managing. I'm on a very good treatment plan. It's just not always implemented the way that it should be, because we all get in our moods or whatever. And 1 in 5 people in America will suffer from some type of depression, whether it's clinical based or it's induced. So grief can induce depression. Okay, so you don't necessarily have to be born with depression or diagnosed. There are people that commit suicide that have never been diagnosed with a mental health condition. So everyone can go through some type of depression. There's postpartum depression where you go through after you have a baby.
True.
There's, you can grieve losing a job. You can grieve all that. It can make you depressed, when people get laid off. So it doesn't necessarily have to be that your chemical balance is off. Okay. And I think that's where the misconception is that people think that, oh, you have depression because your chemicals are off. No, you could just have induced depression, a trauma in your family, an accident, having to, go through healing from an accident. That could be, I went through that,
Right,
it was very hard to go through that year of recovering. You feel very alone, and you're in pain. So people have to realize that there's lots of different, people could just be lonely. There's a lot of people that go through the holidays alone, and that can cause suicide. There's bullying for children. Like these children are committing suicide at 9, 10 years old. They don't have a mental health condition. They're just tired. And then with my anxiety, I get more of my anxiety at night because I'm a warrior. And I'm really trying to put that aside. But my thoughts race at night because I'm always worried about, am I going to be okay tomorrow? How am I going to feel tomorrow? Am I going to be able to get through my day tomorrow? I cause my own anxiety sometimes because I get into that. I want to wake up okay tomorrow. I want to wake up happy, or I want to wake up at least in a good mood. And sometimes I can worry myself to like, can I do that? Can I wake up tomorrow and just be, just be okay?
Yes.
So my anxiety is mostly at night, or when I put too much pressure on myself, when I'm stressed out. And when I get anxiety, I have panic attacks. I have more panic attacks when I'm overstressed because my body starts shutting down, my brain starts shutting down. I cannot consume a lot of stress, and like if I'm arguing with someone or someone's mad at me, that causes me a lot of stress until it's fixed. And so I take everything internal because I care about people, and I don't want. And my counselor just told me not too long ago, just talking to her, I'm going back to counseling on the 18th. I kind of took a break from it, but I was talking to her on the phone, and she was just looking through my file, and she's like, I really think that you're an empath because, which is a highly sensitive person, and what that means is that I can feel other people's energy. So if I walk into a room, Susie, and you're having a bad day, but you're trying to hide it, I can more likely feel it. And I'll be able to spot it, and I'll take on your energy. And that can be exhausting for me.
Right.
Yeah. And so, when I'm, and if I don't exercise, that's not
now
very
come on, I just walked out here like,
because
hold
of
up,
course
y'all.
exercising takes out the negative endorphins and I don't need to do like a hard exercise. It's just like right now it's sunny, so this morning I took my dog and I went out for a walk.
Yes.
And so it did help me a little bit with my grief because I was in the sun, I was outside, I was moving my body. When we sit still, we just everything just sits. You know,
Yeah.
you
I always say that you gotta get that happy. You gotta move and get that happy juice, that serotonin. You gotta get that stuff flowing. You know.
Yeah, and for me, I wouldn't say lucky enough. It was because I was in my accident that I got this brain scan, but I don't produce serotonin, which is the chemical that makes you feel happy.
Yes.
So I can be sitting in the middle of Disneyland and not feel anything. Okay, so that can be very frustrating for someone that's like, man, I see everybody else having a good time and smiling and happy, and here I am just feeling like whatever, you know. So I do have to take a medication for that, and I'm not ashamed of that. I take it every morning. It is irresponsible of me not to take it, because when you know that you have, just like when you know you have heart disease, you know, it's irresponsible for you not to take your heart medicine because you can have a heart attack, right? If I don't take my medicine in the morning, it's going to make my day really bad. It's going to make everybody around me really bad. And it's bad enough that I have to manage other things on my own, but trying to manage that chemical on my own just doesn't work. I've tried it and it didn't work. It really put me in a dark place, especially after my dad died. And then after my grandma died, it just went downhill from there because I wasn't on medication. And then that's where the stress kicks in. And when you're stressed out, I haven't really been able to that's why I'm so excited about going back to school for mental health, because I'll be able to learn everything about every different type of chemical in your brain. But I know for sure that when I'm stressed, that causes, I feel like all the waves in my brain are just kind of like, you know how a computer just starts, if you pour water on it and it just starts spark, that's what I feel like. That's the only way I can kind of put it into terms where people can understand. Like, I just start shutting down, and it's almost like a slow shutdown. So I try, it doesn't work all the time, but I am trying to control my stress a little bit better, and make sure that I'm moving more than sitting.
Okay.
Yeah,
there's a question from Dr. Trey. Wanted to know how stress affects cortisol levels.
I don't know, because that's the part I haven't studied. So that's why I want to, I know it does something, because it shuts me down. And I've seen other people that I've worked with as far as mental health consulting, where they're so stressed out they can't even speak. You know, so I know that stress kills. It's a silent killer. So we all have to get that stuff under control. And one way that I try to manage it right now is just what I call keeping myself balanced, which is not an easy thing to do. And that means I don't, some people have the ability to put stuff in categories, you know, or compartments in their brain. I don't have that ability. Everything sits in the front of my brain. So I have to write everything down. That helps me a lot. So when I'm going through something, or when I'm stressed out about something, or I have something coming up, everything has to be planned for me. Everything has to be written down. So if I'm having a problem, or I'm arguing with someone and I don't understand the reason, I have to go back to give myself a minute, and then I have to go back and I have to write down everything so I can come to the solution. Where most people can do that just on their own. You know, like, this is happening because I did this, you know what I mean? And so a lot of times it will take me a couple of days to say, like, oh, that was my fault. I caused that myself. So all of that stuff is hard to manage, but it's necessary for me, because I know that's what keeps me balanced. And if I'm off balance, everything is off track for me, and then that doesn't feel good for me.
Did you go through depression as a child? Did you know did you notice things when you were as an adult, or you going through the situation as a child? And did you know what it was? If it were a child, did you know what it was? Did you know what was happening to you?
Well, my first, I was 5 years old. I remember 5 years old. I just was not happy. Now, that's around the time my dad moved away to go to Detroit, and he had a new family. So that's what everybody thought that it was. And when I say that I was sad, it was like I would because my grandmother was like them old school grandmas where you were always in church. So on Sundays that was your day: church, dinner, church.
Yes, right.
So after that, I was always curled up in a ball at night by myself crying. So I believe that my depression started as a child. I just had no idea what it was.
Okay.
I was not allowed to talk about being unhappy. Okay, that was not my grandmother's thing. So I had to hide a lot. Hide a lot about the way that I was feeling, or pretend that I was happy, or pretend that I was okay. And it didn't hit a boiling point when I was 15, where I tried to take my life. And then that's when everything kind of, I wasn't even diagnosed then, because back then, it just, like, there's nothing like what's going on today, where when you did go to a hospital, they would send in a social worker, then they send in a psychiatrist now. They didn't do that back then. They just locked people up. So, and my grandmother always called being sad or doing something like that the devil. So at that point, you were evil. And not that, and my grandmother loved me, but that's just how she was raised.
Yes.
So it was like I had to go in this room, and I had to stay in this room, and she was bringing all the saints over, and they kept praying for me and anointing the door and anointing everything around me, because there's this evil spirits around me. Is the reason why I tried to take my life. But nobody actually really asked me, like, why did you do that?
Right.
You know, I think sometimes we don't ask the right questions. And I was in pain. And I just, when people take their lives, or when they, attempt to do that, it's really not that they don't want to be here anymore, or they want to hurt anyone. It's the same reason that people, have substance abuse. It's because they're in pain, and that's a way for them to alleviate the pain. And so, when that happened, I knew something was wrong with me. I just didn't know what. So when you don't know what's wrong with you, then you start internalizing everything like, I'm a burden. Something's wrong with me. I don't know what's wrong with me, but I was born weird. I guess telling people that I'm just weird. I was bullied a lot in school because of my skin color, because back then, light-skinned people were great and dark-skinned people were not.
Yeah.
So I was called by my own people. This was not even by, the opposite race. I was...
You didn't need one, did you?
Having racial bias with my own, people.
Yeah. Right.
And so that can be even harder, I think, because you don't understand, you're black too. Your parents are just light-skinned, but that's just what it was back then. So that was a lot for me too. So I didn't get diagnosed until 2008. So I had children through all of that. And both times I had what they call postpartum depression, but nobody ever told me. With my second child, it was worse.
Make her a little care package. Look.
One, and I hate telling this story because she feels like I need to want her sometimes, or we talked about this, but that's not the case. I was going through something that I didn't even understand myself. But one, they had told me she was a boy, and I had already had a girl. So when she came out, she was a girl, and I was like, oh no, I have another girl. And so that made me mad that they were wrong. And then my baby had to wear blue because she was here, and everybody thought she was a boy. So I had to look at her that way, but there was maybe about 5 or 6 weeks where I wouldn't pick her up. I wouldn't hold her. She would cry and be like, you guys have to get her. I just wasn't bonded with my baby. And then that made me feel bad because I wasn't like that with my first child. With my first child, I was a little bit more distraught because I was young. I was 19, having this baby, and I didn't know what to do. But I really believe with my second child, what it is, it's postpartum depression. But I never went to a doctor for it. I never addressed it. And then it was just one day where I just picked her up, and it was just like, oh, I need to do this. Be her mom, because everybody else was taking care of her. I just couldn't connect with anything that was going around me. Not even at the time. I think my oldest child was maybe 2.5, almost 3, and I wasn't connecting with anyone or anything. So my whole maternity leave, which back then was only 6 weeks,
Right.
it's bad, I think. But my whole maternity leave, I did not bond with my baby. I had went back to work and was kind of ignoring the fact that I was even a mom. So having depression and going through postpartum depression, you can imagine how painful that is. So I was diagnosed in 2008 where I had a second attempt on my life. I was married, I had children, I had stepchildren. My relationship wasn't going well. We were separated. Just everything was, and I was shopping because I didn't know what else to do. So that was kind of my mechanism. I had a room, empty room full of just stuff, purses. Just I was in so much debt. It was just, and then I was trying to hide the debt. So it was like it wasn't fair. So it was just bad. And I don't think I know. I hit a wall where I was going to work. I mean, when I say I got dressed up, this particular day, I was going to work looking like it was Easter. I had a full face makeup. I had everything that I thought that made me me. You know, my nice clothes, my Coach purse, my weave and my hair. Everything was perfect. You know what I mean, that day.
Yeah.
I got in my car, and the psychiatrist calls it tunnel vision. I got in my car, and it was rush hour. It was 7:30 in the morning, and people are all over 27, and I saw no one. Only thing that I saw was the edge of the freeway where I wanted to take my car and just drive it off the road, and that's what happened. Wow. And that's when I got put into a psychiatric hospital, and that's when I was diagnosed. I was finally had someone tell me, like,
what's going on?
This is what's going on. And even back in 2008, they didn't have as much information as they have now. But I felt better. It's kind of weird because even though I was mad that I had, because I'm like, why am I here? Why didn't this work? You know what I mean? But I had to go through that to get to this day because now I feel like this is my purpose. My purpose is to, one, tell people that if you have tried to take your life, there was a reason for it, but there's other ways. And today, even though I do still have suicidal thoughts when I'm going through episodes, I really know that I want to live. Okay. You know what I mean? I think there's a difference between knowing you want to live and not really caring that you want to live.
Right.
And I didn't care back then. I didn't, it wasn't about my family or my kids. It was just like, I just want to take this pressure cooker off of me. I wanted to I want the steam to go away. But knowing what was wrong with me was scary because I didn't tell my family. My family found out, actually, a lot of my family found out when I did my documentary, I Am Not My Mental Illness, and I posted it on YouTube.
Yes.
That's when a lot of my family, they were like, what? You did what? Like, they didn't know.
It's better than I think it
because
is.
I never said
It's related
I
to
was on
somebody.
vacation as far as they knew that time.
Helping somebody out.
So even my children didn't know a lot of things that I was going through. But I feel better now that they know because I really thought that I wouldn't have a family if they knew. And that was just completely
things
the
have been
opposite.
done.
So
You got your butt up.
Yes.
So I think that's why a lot of people don't say anything or they don't talk about their sadness or they don't talk about that stuff because they're afraid that their family won't understand. They will.
Right.
Really?
They will. And there's so much information out there, so many family
I might
if you
be
have
here
someone
when
that
you
you're
get back.
like
You're like, I
NAMI,
ain't nowhere.
the National Alliance on Mental
Know
Illness,
me.
has a free
My mind is
100% free
heartbeat.
family to family class
Yeah, you
that
can't even
families
get your
can go
water.
through so
Down
they can
somewhere.
understand bipolar, they can understand schizophrenia, they can understand depression, and know how to deal with
Did you
their
go to
family
Barnes and Noble
member.
yesterday?
They didn't have those things back then. Your
Okay.
family's kind of lost, like, what is going on with this
No, for the
person in my
books.
life, you know?
You went to one up
Yeah.
there and
And then the
and
stigma, and
players
then back in the day, the stigma
for that for
of
the book.
if you had, we didn't understand.
I
You
know,
said we
but
didn't
you said for
understand
boys
mental
and girls
illness.
they
We
had
didn't.
one book.
I mean, you labeled that person as being crazy.
Crazy.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, the cop in my car that day before the ambulance got there, when
You ain't got
in '08, when I was in my
I
car
would
off the
check the other
road, he's
one.
like, "Lady, are
Players is
you
a hunky
crazy?
area. More than
Like, have
East.
you literally
got
lost
more
your
niggas come
mind?"
over there.
And I couldn't even respond to him
One
because
book
I
is
was
good
so
enough
distraught.
right now,
And then I was like, "Yeah, I am. I guess I am crazy." Because that's where, you know, but we're not crazy.
No.
We're very much
yeah.
so
That's why I bought
are
it
just
yesterday.
they're normal people that have imbalances or things in our life that's going on that causes us pain that we don't deal with. Silence is the killer of this disease.
Yes.
It really is, because if you feel like there's no one in your corner
How to make
or you can't talk to no one, where do you go? You know what I mean? So look at our babies. Like I can't even tell you, like, I have this vision of being a counselor. I talked to my
I would
academic
put,
advisor the
how
other
to
day,
make
and she's
fit
like,
happy
they
hair,
always
or
want
how
to make sure that when you start a master's program that you know what
fit
you're
hair
getting
happy.
into.
You know what I mean? How to make
And
fit
she's
hair
like, what do
happy.
you want to do with this degree? I was like, well, I definitely don't want to be a
You know,
counselor where
fit
people are
hair. How
coming
to
in
make
and sitting
fit
on my
hair happy.
couch.
You know what I mean?
I don't want that. And no offense to any counselors that do that.
This is
My
how to make
counselor
your
is
hair
Bob.
happy. I was
But
just like how to make fit
I
hair
know that
happy.
there's a bigger purpose for me, and I want to have a place where people can go, children can go, and they can openly have a safe place to talk about anything in groups. Because sometimes when you're in a group, you feel better.
Yes.
Because you know that you're not by yourself. And that's really important, is to know you're not by yourself.
You need bags for it.
And I love, because now, the awareness of, maybe in the mental health, awareness month, and Children's Hospital has this thing going on now too, on our Leads for Children. And it's like, I mean, how do they diagnose a child? I mean, I don't know if you know this answer, a child, to know that they're going through some type of mental illness. I mean, I know it has to be dealing with conversation or parents being, on top of things, noticing things going on. But yeah, it's like,
Well, I've actually toured their. They have a new. They don't call it a psych ward because it's nothing like what I would go to. It's not on lockdown like that. But they have a whole new area where it's for children. And I've had a personal experience with I'm not going to say who because I don't want to tell their business, but it's somebody very close to me. And she was a teenager and she tried to commit suicide. And she was there, and I got to see this place and see how they interact with them. It's a wonderful, wonderful place. But they take them through an assessment. And this, in this particular case, all of her strife was coming from her parents being divorced. Okay? So, like I said, it doesn't necessarily have to be a mental health condition or a chemical imbalance. It could just be something where a child is going through that. And so because she's in the middle of it, she tried to take her life. So they didn't really say she had depression or anything like that. It was just like, you need counseling, you need to understand what you're going through as far as your parents and stuff like that. So it's a really good program because not all children are born with a mental health condition. They're just going through things that they don't understand. And they don't know what to do or where to go to get help with it. You know what I mean? So that's, when I look on the news, and not a lot of times is it on the news, I get it more from just being in the mental health community and getting this information. But I don't know these people personally, but there have been 4 people in the last 3 months between the ages of 9 and 11 that have taken their lives that I've heard about.
Wow.
That's deep.
That's very, yes.
Okay, and the stuff that they left and the stuff that they found out was just basically because they were bullied. Okay, so it's a real thing. It's happening. And we don't always hear about it because they're not case made, so it's not going to be in the news. I get this information because of where I am in my profession, and it's very heartbreaking, and it breaks my heart because a lot of people just automatically go to like, oh, they had a mental illness. Well, no, not necessarily. There are some really evil people in the world, and it doesn't have anything to do with that, because mental health conditions can be controlled. You just have to get the right help, and you have to know that you can get help, and that there's a different way, and that there's tools out there that can manage, and there's lots of free programs. Adam H, NAMI, they all have different free programs. People can't afford counseling because their insurance won't cover it. My insurance only covers 10% of my counseling. That's bad.
Yes.
That's really bad.
Yes.
So they can't afford it, and so they don't go. And it causes other issues. So that's why I'm glad that there's these other programs. But these programs are usually nonprofit. They don't advertise a lot because it costs money. So I always tell people about it everywhere I go, because, you know, through my women's retreats, even doing my women's retreat, I was naming some things like tools, and people didn't know. People didn't know about NAMI. People know about, oh, they have a free class. You know, like, you know, where they can get help and they don't have to pay for it.
Right.
I know Riverside and, well, Ohio Health in general, I think they're all connected. But if you have to go get help and say you can't, I know with my insurance, I have this deductible that I have to hit before they even cover anything. So if I go to emergency room right now, my bill is about $4,000. I got to pay that bill. But they have a program that a lot of people don't know called financial assistance that they never advertise.
Wow.
It's right on their website. It's at the very bottom on the left-hand side, and no one ever sees it. Where you can go online, you can actually apply for them to either eliminate or go in half based on your ability to pay.
Okay.
And a lot of people don't know that, so they won't go to the emergency room. They won't, because they don't want to bill.
Yes.
So that information is out there, and yeah, I tell people because sometimes you don't know, because they don't. That's something that they won't put on their commercials. You know what I mean? Like, hey, by the way, we can help you.
We can help you. That's right.
We can help you pay your bill. You know, if you you have to qualify, but you know, a single mom may not know that. You know, they may not know that they can get help with the bill if they actually need to go get help. So it's just important that people like me and people like other people that have this lived experience and they're in the community, that we are sharing our experiences. We are sharing the fact that, yes, I struggle. Yes, I have done this, but here's how I manage. And I manage simply by knowing that I have people to talk to in my life to say, you know what, today is not a good day. And I need you know what I mean? Like, I need your help. You need to find a core, your core circle. And it doesn't have to be a big circle. I always thought I needed this big circle of people in my life, and I don't. I have 5 of my favorite people that I know that I can go to, and I can trust them, and I can say, you know what, today is not a good day. And they say, okay, what do you need me to do?
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, you know, from, you know, Ken just knowing that, okay, I just need you to get in the shower. I'm going to bring you a sandwich. I'm going to set it by the bed. I'm not going to talk to you. From my daughter saying, Mom, make a choice. Just make a choice. You know, she's very hard on me sometimes, but she does it because she knows that I just need to make a choice to get up out of the bed.
Yes.
So, and then I have a best friend that I can say, like, I'm having a panic attack, and I will call her and be like, hey, I'll text her, and I was like, hey, I'm having a panic attack, and she'll like, okay, give me a minute. She'll call me, and she will sit there with me and just walk me through it. There's no judgment, there's no rush, there's no, you know, people that you need in your life.
Yes.
And if you don't have those people in your life, if you don't think you do, then go find it.
Yes.
Go find it. Go find those people in a group. NAMI holds a group every Monday.
And then you start to
for
see
anyone that struggles with a health condition. It's free. It's at New Birth Church out on.
that's what that $3 thing was all about.
Sorry about
All right.
Refugee
what
Road,
it's
I
all
believe, is
about.
where New Birth is.
Okay.
And it's every Monday
Is
at
telling that
6:30.
story in a proper way.
It's open to
And
everyone.
this dude is like, he's done
And everyone that
everything.
runs that class has lived experience. So they all in there understand. And that's where I have found my mentor, is through NAMI. So it's free. So find your core people, make sure you're exercising, and again, it doesn't have to be people think when you say exercise, it's like, oh, I gotta go to the gym for an hour and sweat. No.
Crazy.
Go outside, go for a walk, just stay active.
TFT, 30 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, 30 minutes. 30 minutes.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be an hour and a half long time frame. It does take 30 minutes. I took a 30-minute walk today and I felt better about my grief.
Right.
Okay, so just something that simple. So you're right. Like there's lots of things out there that you can get into that you have to give yourself that time. You
Yes.
do. I haven't given myself that time.
Okay.
And it affected me very badly. So give yourself that time.
Yeah.
And if you are prescribed medication,
You're doing great now. You're doing great.
The
So.
audio book
and
is
if you're
$30.
prescribed medication, please take it. Make sure, one, you're getting it from a psychiatrist. Okay, it's very important that your psychiatrist diagnoses you and gives you the right medication, and not that your medical doctor is not a good place to go. I go to her all the time, and we talk about my medications and stuff, but that's not their skill. You don't go to a foot doctor if you have heart disease, right? So you need to go to the correct doctors, and you need to make sure you're being diagnosed correctly
Somewhere else too.
and find the right combination. Because if you get diagnosed incorrectly and you're taking the wrong medication, it can spark something that's not necessary. So just make sure that you're doing that, and find what your regimen is. Whether it's I need to meditate and do that regimen, because I found for myself personally that if I don't do certain things, it affects me. Eat junk food, it affects me badly. You know what I mean?
Does he have the tools? He knows
So,
how to use the tools.
just make sure that's how you
Now,
control
what we have is you got
depression.
creativity.
You have to do the things that you know and figure out what makes you feel
I
good.
need to preset them. I need to take it to the lathe. I gotta have
I was asked that
this
question,
dust
like, what
roll
makes you
come in.
feel good? And I'm like, I think I forgot how to feel good. You forget how to feel good. You just, because you're on autopilot so much. Running makes me feel good. So I started running again, and I'm like, man, why haven't I been doing this? Because I felt so good after the fact, and I've been so much better in my spirit
Yeah.
since I started. And literally it's 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't for an hour.
Right.
I do a thing interval where I do it for 30 minutes.